Are streaming.
But I seen that turned up before red's good.
Yeah,
right?
red's good. Yep.
And
Go live. All right, so we are streaming. It's always so nice when we get to stream. And we'll see the people come on right shortly.
member.
Yes, we got 100 members today. Why did it not come up with the stream on YouTube?
YouTube not streaming?
It's streaming because you got it right there. So, hello, Sergio. I'm gonna get it right one of these days. I know I am. I'm gonna get it right one of these days. It is one of those Fridays, trying to get the live stream up. There I am. There I am. Who's that sexy guy? Well, I think he's sexy. Other people probably don't, but I do. That's all that matters.
Sure, your wife does too. Some days.
Some days, yeah. So as soon as my chat comes up, I'll be able to see everybody in the chat. We are having a heck of a day. Hello, Sergio. And eventually all the chatters will come up at some point. I know we have Jerry in the chat as well on Facebook. Mark Baker, hello. Frank is manning the controls again for us. He's just taking his time. He's overdoing what men do in the library. So have you guys, for those that are here right now, have you guys seen this ridiculous notion that Jingle Bells is a racist song? I saw that today in my feed on Facebook, and I thought, do people have nothing better to complain about than a tried, true, tested song that has been around for freaking ever? I'm going to go on a little rant here today. Mark Baker over on YouTube. Hello, sir. Alessandro. You know, I think it's nuts. I mean, I get it that people that aren't Christian don't like Merry Christmas. I get it that people that don't like some other songs that were made for Christmas, but they're not tried, tested, and true. I got to tell you, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Christmas, to be perfectly honest with you. I am not the biggest fan. I won't go as far as to say that I hate Christmas, because everybody likes to get stuff from time to time. But at the one issue that I have is when you start attacking things in North America that have been around forever, that starts to get my goat a little bit. But Jim Allen, hello, sir. Go ahead, you guys. Just give me a hi. How are you in the comments? If you're on Facebook, let me know where you're coming from, and or where you're viewing from today. I would love to know so that I can see your comments over here. We've got about 5 minutes or so to go, 5.5 minutes. Michael McLaughlin reacted to our video in the first layer. Thank you very much.
I'm not seeing any of that over here.
Millen, I'm seeing it here.
Oh, Oh, you are.
I got a friend request, I think.
I can see it on
Somebody
my
wants to
phone.
be friends with, oh, Michael McLaughlin. I am going to say yes. I'm going to confirm that he can be my friend.
Exciting day for all of us.
It is. I have a new friend. That's great. I love new friends. New friends are great. Oh, we are having a heck of a day today, aren't we? So yeah, if you're into Christmas, all the power to you. Great. Thanks. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for playing. Baron Steele is here. Jason Dahl-Lee is here as well. I see. Welcome, welcome.
Malta, is that down near Italy? Malta, is that like the country Malta?
I think so.
Because I just heard a whole bunch of stuff about Malta today.
Did you?
Morning. Yeah, I was reading a news article and this lady did this biz feed or something like that. This big article on Malta because that's where her great grandfather was from, and then suddenly she's like the most famous person in Malta.
Wow.
And she goes down there and visits, and she gets a tour of their White House from the PM of the country. Cool. Just for writing an article about Malta. If that's the same Malta, I don't know. Maybe Jason can let us know if that's the same place.
I like how he's broken up his name. Jason Dahl-Lee. That's actually pretty cool.
Makes a good acronym.
It does.
JSDL. Hello from Malta, yeah.
From Malta. There we go.
Hi, Baron.
And we got all kinds of people in the hanging out with us today. That's great because today I'm going to be talking about something that is pretty cool. And German printing nerd, hello, sir. Baron Steele says hi. I'm going to be talking about something that actually Sergio Malich actually suggested. He had a great idea about how do we take our PLA prints and get them smooth. How do we smooth that out? So I did some research, and we're going to talk about that research today. There are a few different ways to do it. There is one of our community members, what is his name? Armstrong. He says that he uses what do you call it there? Some sort of vapor that you use on an ABS cleaning fluid to smooth out his PLA prints. Chris Armstrong. He basically says you do it kind of the same way as you would do vapor smoothing with anything else. However, we're not set up for that, so I'm not going to show that today. I'm going to show the three basic methods that my research has shown. It seems to be the three top methods. One requires a little bit of elbow grease. So we're going to talk about those today. Hey, listen, how long have we got? We got about 1:40. If you guys haven't got one yet, just send me a self-addressed stamped envelope to this side, over to the address below, and you can get yourself one of these first layer stickers. This is going to be the last of the gray, black, and white ones. They are just going to black and white in the new year because we kind of changed some coloring on the logo. But if you want to get one of these while I've still got some, please drop a self-addressed stamped envelope, and I'll even give you one of the ones from Spool 3D as well because we've got a fair number.
Got some questions on YouTube.
Questions on YouTube. Let's see. I'm printing PLA right now, Glenn Jones says. Hello, Glenn. We are going to talk about that. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. Do I know what the postage would be for the U.S.? I think it's about $1.50, if I'm not mistaken.
Freedom costs $1.05.
Joshua says he thought acetone was for ABS only. It is. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, Joshua. So hang on. I will get to that. Chris Armstrong, there he is. He's over over on the Facebook chat. He's saying it's Odie ABS CPVC pipe cleaner. Michael McLaughlin and Jim Allen asked to join the first layer. So Frank's going and approving those right now. And we can welcome you guys. $20 for Europe. I don't think it's that much for Europe. I just sent something to Fred Kaz because he couldn't get the postage there. He just sent me something through PayPal, and I just sent him back the stickers. He finally got the stickers, but yeah, I don't think it's $20. I think. Fred, I think it was about $3.75, wasn't it? I'm sure Fred, it was about $3.75 to send him the stickers from Canada. Okay, so we are there. It's showtime, so let's run that intro. And welcome to Coffee with Rich. It's our first layer live stream every Friday. If you don't know who I am, you've never been here before, my name is Richard Cleveland. I am your host on this show every week, 3 times a week. Monday and Friday we do the live stream, and Wednesdays we do a recorded show. And if you didn't see this week's recorded show, it's our tour of Trotec Laser Canada. We had a lot of fun over there. We got to cut some material and engrave on some other material. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys got to see that. Now, what am I holding in my hand? Well, this is the second design submitted for the Maker Coin. And if we go to our little camera, there we go. You can see that this is a spinner coin. This was submitted by Chris Armstrong. And the only thing that's wrong with it is the tolerances are a little too tight, so it doesn't spin. But that's okay. That's all right. Hey, listen, if you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube yet, we are always giving stuff away on YouTube. And make sure that you go and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, turn it white, and hit the little bell notification so you know when we're uploading or doing live stream videos. Okay. Jerry Projects, hello, sir. They're all equal. All Maker Coins are equal. Fred's saying this one's better than his. They're all equal. Fred, it's your first try. So what we're talking about today is Sergio. I put out a post for anybody that saw it on Facebook asking, what do you guys want to talk about this week? And a couple of questions came in. One was Easy Projects by Kathleen. And although we're not going to tackle easy projects today, I think I'm going to save that for Monday. We'll talk about easy projects to get started with in 3D printing. But Sergio had a great idea because there's a lot of people printing this time of year, and they're printing in PLA for the most part. And it's really tough to figure out how to finish your 3D print or how to get it smooth. Smoothing is probably the best way to put it. So I went online, I did some research for you guys, and I picked the top 3 methods that seem to be in that category of smoothing PLA, and we're going to talk about those today. So I'm going to switch to my desktop camera. You can see here, I'm using my cell phone actually. This is my cell phone running into our software, which is actually really cool. So in front of me, I've got 3 boats, 3 benches, and they all have varying degrees of finishing on them. I'll start with the first one. This one here is done again in PLA. This was printed off on the Wanhao Duplicator i3. And this guy, hopefully I've got him in camera, in frame. This guy here was heat treated. Now, you're going to ask me, what is heat treating? Well, that's when you take a heat gun and you blow it across the surface. You don't hold it there because you'll just melt your benchy. But it's supposed to do some smoothing. It doesn't do a very good job. And unless you're really proficient with it, I say scrap the heat treating. Don't do it because you'll just ruin your model. And if you're doing something like you see behind me, like the Wonder Woman, the R2-D2, Batman, again, thanks to Sergio. Those are his designs back there, except for the R2-D2. Don't use heat treating. I think heat treating is the wrong way to go. Now let's move over to number 2. Lower, please. Lower. You want it lower. Okay. Is that better?
Try not to move it around too much because that tends to go out of focus.
Okay. So this benchy was treated with XTC. And XTC is a 2-part, lower and louder. He wants to be louder. Well, you guys are probably picking up the sound on of the printers going in the background today. Boom better, Glenn Jones says. I'm actually not using a boom. I am using a lavalier mic. Okay. So I'm going to not move this around. So this one was treated with XTC. You can see it's got a nice gloss to it. Now, with XTC, this is not where you have to stop. You can actually sand this out, finish it, spray paint it, do whatever you want to it. But this is a coating to basically even out all of those lines, layer lines on your print. And XTC is a brush-on 2-part material that you can get either from Spool 3D or any other place that sells it. I'm gonna let's go back to my main camera for a second. So this is XTC here. You can see I've got a popsicle stick sticking out of the side. That's what comes in the XTC to help you mix. What you want to do is you want to mix this at a 2-to-1 ratio. So 2 parts of A to 1 part of B. You mix it thoroughly, and then you brush it on either with a foam brush or one of those throwaway chip brushes that you can find. XTC, this is about 20 bucks, I think, for a box of starter XTC. Audio from the main is much better. Great, thank you. Okay, so XTC is definitely a good product to use. Again, you can sand it. It says right there on the back that you can sand it. I did some further research. This is the first time I ever used XTC on anything, so this was my first go at it. I might have put it on a little thick. You'd be better off putting it on in thinner layers. But I found another way. And you guys are probably saying to yourself, well, what's that other way? Well, I've got it for you. Let's go back to my desktop cam here. And this benchy, well, I'll flip it around here so you can see this side. Now you'll see that there's a lot of layer lines on this side. But when we flip it over, it's nice and smooth. And how I did that was actually really, really simple. It just was wet sanding. It's a little bit of work to wet sand it, but what you want to do is you want to start with different grits of sandpaper. And what did I have here? I started with 220, I believe. Let me just see what I've got. I've got some 600 there. I've got some 220, some 400, some 320. I started with 220 grit sandpaper, and then I moved up to 320. So let's go back to my main camera. I moved up to 320, and it's just wet dry sandpaper that you can get at any automotive store, Canadian Tire, any place that sells automotive wet dry sandpaper. So the wet dry sandpaper, just wet it and then just take it and start to do your finish work. Once you do that, it didn't take me very long to get that nice smooth finish. It actually only took about 5 minutes to get that finish, which I was very impressed by. And then, believe it or not, I used this stuff, Brasso. Brasso can be found in any grocery store. What it's used for is cleaning and polishing your brass, your copper, your stainless steel, your chrome, your aluminum, your pewter, and your bronze. But we used it on this. And I got to tell you, the result was actually pretty outstanding. We'll go back to this camera. You guys can see that, how smooth that is. Am I in the shot?
Not at all.
Where am I? Why don't I have a shot there? Okay, well, let's go back to the main camera then. It froze, that's why. Okay, give me a second. Yeah, it stopped. But that's okay, we'll restart it. You know, we're playing with new technology, so here we go. There we are. Okay. So you guys can see how smooth that is. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. There we go. There we go. You guys can see that now, yes?
Yep, that's good. Don't move around.
It's nice and smooth. And I got to tell you, for the little bit of time, it only took me 5 minutes to do that, if 5 minutes. I went through the different grits, sandpaper, got to 800, and then for the final sanding, I used a sanding sponge, a 1000 grit sanding sponge, and that was the result of all of that little bit of work. Now, if you're doing a much bigger model that has a lot of texture on it, you may not want to go and sand it because you might lose some of that detail. The same holds true for using XTC. Because it is a resin, and we'll go back to my camera, because it is a resin, it can obscure detail. It can obscure detail actually pretty easy. So what I would suggest to anybody is that you do the old-fashioned way. Take some automotive primer, some filler primer, spray your model with filler primer. I believe I've got some right here. This is the stuff that I use. It's Duplicolors filler primer. It fills in deep scratches and minor imperfections. It's a very good product. It's not that expensive. It's you know, it's what you start with. You know, and if you've ever done any model building, this is probably the primer you've used, or you've used Tamiya primers, or you know, any one of the other model kit primers. But this is the primer I would recommend. So if I went to do this boat here, it would fill in a lot of those layer lines that we have without obscuring a lot of the detail. Where we may have a problem and we may have to use some filler is up here on the top of the boat, because it is quite stepped. But with that said, I mean, elbow grease. The best way to do any kind of smoothing, especially with PLA, do a couple of extra perimeters when you're printing, and that'll help out a lot, because if you sand too much, you end up going through and then you have to fill that hole in your model. So what I do is I just add an extra layer or an extra perimeter, depending on the process that you're using, whether you're using Simplified 3D, slicers, Cura, Repetier, whatever you're using to do your slicing. Just give it an extra perimeter. And for those who don't understand perimeters, and most people in our community right now do, that's the outer perimeter of your model, okay? We have top layers, bottom layers, and perimeters. So that's pretty much it. So I'm going to have a quick peek here at some of the comments. And best way, opinion, paint all models with Z-epoxy, then after sand the full model. That's Jason Daly. That's pretty much what this stuff does. This is your epoxy right here. Excuse me. Chris Armstrong says you just need a better printer. Who did I miss here?
CR10, baby.
Carwin Morris, welcome. Always use a filler primer on mine. I stick to my models basically for 3 prints. Plus, I try to cut the models so that the detail can either be preserved or added later. Very good suggestion there. Jason Daly says, would be ideal to explain when we need to join parts together with fillers or other types of materials. I'm in the process of starting to join UH-60 helicopter. It is a model of 50 plus parts. We did actually a live stream. Was it a live stream or was that actually one of our regular shows where I showed on Wonder Woman here, and I'll pull her up. Sergio's going to be upset with me because I still haven't gotten any further on this one. But you can see here where I used Milliput to fill in some of the imperfections where the parts join. You can use Milliput. It's a 2-part epoxy that can be smoothed with water. Then I used some automotive spot putty here. Excuse me, my throat's a little dry in here today. And then down here, I showed a technique where you mix spot putty with acetone to make a slurry, and you can actually brush it on. I hope that answered the question there. Milliput, Lilliput. It's actually Milliput. It's a fantastic product. Again, it's non-toxic. It dries fairly quickly. You can work with it, sand it. Here's a great example. I've got a piece of, I don't even know what this is. That's probably too thin. I know that there's a piece of 200 around here. There we go. Here's a piece of 200 grit sandpaper, or 220. Okay, so now I can come back, and this arm here, where we see we've got a little Milliput, I can come back and sand that, and then I'll come back with a smoother paper and I'll sand that out a little bit more. And if you want to get really good finishes on your models, that is the best way, in my opinion, to do that. Use Milliput. You can use Squadron Green or White Putty. Both of those will work. You can get those at any store, for the most part, I believe. You can. Let me just see if 4 top, 4 bottom, 4 sides. I don't really think going to 4 sides is necessary. I usually use 3, but you know, to each his own. And that's Dawn who asked that question. Who is the German printing nerd, for anybody who doesn't know. And I'm just trying to keep up with questions here. Carwin says he hasn't used liquid green stuff on 3D prints yet. He'll have to investigate and see what happens. It actually does work, Carwin. Carwin's an old friend of mine from another show that I used to do. He's actually a very good model builder. For anybody that is interested in seeing his work, I think you still have a website, don't you, Carwin? And he's got some great stuff. He did the spaceship from, what is that English show? Red something. Red something. Red Dwarf. There we go. I knew it would come to me. So yeah, it's what I suggest is if you are going to be doing a nice finish, like a paint finish, on any one of your prints, do fill in where you need to fill in. Again, with the Milliput, you can smooth it with water. So again, it's non-toxic. So that's good. Red Dwarf. Yes, I got that. Yep, he says he's on YouTube. Go look up Carwin Morris on YouTube. He's got some great stuff that he did. If you know that you're going to sand, I think 3 is the most I've ever tried. Yes, Glenn. 3's Well, that's not true. I have actually gone up to 6, depending on the resolution of the print that I'm doing. So if I'm going down to like a 0.05 to get that really fine resolution, I actually have gone up to 6. In the case of Wonder Woman here, she has 3, I believe 3 perimeters on her, and she's got 7 top layers and 6 bottom layers. And that's recommended with any of the models that you get from malix3design.com. Most of the files that he has over there, you can basically go and have a look-see. They're all very reasonably priced, but he gives you instructions for both Cura and for Simplify 3D. So it's definitely worth going over and having a look there. Glenn Jones, I've not printed less than 0.2 in some time, but he says he sees what I mean by going, more perimeters for the higher resolution. How's that sound? That's probably the best way to do it. Am I missing anything? I don't think I'm missing anything. I think I got all the questions. Wow, that's a first. I usually end up answering questions after the show's over. But anyway, so sandpaper, sanding sponge. Oh, big caveat. Do not ever use a power sander on your models.
Like a Dremel?
Like a Dremel. What's the other thing that I'm thinking of? A power sander, like a palm sander. Don't use one of those on your 3D models because here's the caveat. Hello, Geraldine. The caveat is that if you do that, because of the friction created with a power tool, you're liable to melt into the plastic of your figure, okay? So I don't want you guys to do that. And that pretty much wraps it up. I'm going to take questions here for a few more minutes and just have a look and see. Fred Kaz says, well under a few Canadian dollars. That's correct. So getting back to that, Fred got his and he posted a picture. I don't know if anybody saw that on Facebook or not, but Fred posted a picture of the stickers that he got. And again, this is the last of we don't have very many. Like, this is it. This is all I got left. When these are done, we will have the new logo coming out, but which is still the same logo. It's just done in black and white, which makes it easier to print. My wife says, Geraldine Ham is my wife for anybody that doesn't know, you need a nail kit Dremel like item. And you know what? She's absolutely right about that. She's cleaned up several models at home using the nail kit style Dremels. They're much lower power. They don't melt. They don't go quite so fast. So if you can find one of those on AliExpress or Banggood or any one of those, they're just a cheap little nail kit. They run on I think a 12 volt, or not even a 12 volt, maybe 5 volts power supply, and you plug them into the wall. They got a little cord and you variable speed. And if you can get over the pink color, you're fine. What about filament welding? Filament welding, I haven't tried it with PLA. I have tried it with ABS. And that's a process for anybody that doesn't know, where you take a piece of filament and you stick it into your Dremel, and you take it and you start up your Dremel, and through the friction of the filament turning against the other filament that it's going to, it creates almost a weld. It takes a little bit of a hand to get used to, but you can actually do it. That was an excellent question. Geraldine says she got hers from Banggood. If she can put a link to that in the chat, that would be great. Friction welding is a great way to bring your parts together. If I had done friction welding on this, I would still have a lot of sanding to do. I'm talking about Wonder Woman. I'd still have a lot of sanding to do. So for now, what I'm going to end up doing is, I printed this actually quite badly. It had a lot of layer lines on it. So I'm going to finish sanding her out, and then I'm probably going to cover her with my paint on putty, just to kind of fill in a lot of the little areas. Then I'll prime her and she'll look great. Let's see, which print was the most complex? Print time, finish time. Wow, that is a good question. I haven't finished a print from start to finish yet. Just this dome here on R2-D2, this took quite a while, and I still haven't gotten all of the aberrations out of it. Can we go back to my camera on the desk for a second? You guys can see this now, and you can see there are still some layer lines that are apparent in there. And I haven't quite finished this yet, of course. I've got a lot of work yet to do on it. But this was sanded. It was hit with filler primer. Then it was hit with some spot putty, and you know, it just back and forth. If you are building models, and any model builder will tell you this, sanding is 70%, filling and sanding is 70% of building a model. Putting it together is 10%. And then the rest is all filling, sanding, and then you've got another 20% of final paint work. At 200%, I'm not sure she's at 200%. Oh, no, Wonder Woman is at 175%. She's not quite at 200 because I didn't have a tall enough printer to print it all at 200. Same thing with Batman, he's done at 175. I am currently printing the Catwoman at 175%, and that was for our winner, which I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. But he's on our Facebook page. He's up the top there. So with that said, guys, let me see if there's any. If you tried using spray lacquer like a gloss coating as a filler for sanding and finishing. No, I actually haven't tried that. I think it would. I think, now I could be wrong. Yeah, it'll go on thinner, but I don't know if it will fill in the layer lines as good as XTC will. I might have to try that. I might have to try that, Carwin. That's actually a great idea. I will definitely try that. And with that said, I think that's pretty much it. So first and foremost, let me thank Spool 3D. And I'm sweating in the studio. I don't know why today. Spool 3D, print it right, print it with spool3d.ca. They've got everything from printers to filaments to all the parts that you need to fix your machine or upgrade your machine, including products from E3D, Micro Swiss, and more. Check out their website at spool3d.ca. They give us this wonderful studio to use every week to bring you guys the show. We are looking for more people to join us on YouTube. So if you haven't yet and you've just been watching the show on Facebook, please go over to YouTube and become a subscriber. Hit that notification button. If your subscribe looks like this, then you're not subscribed. If it turns white, then you're subscribed. But hit that notification button so you get notified every time we put up a brand new episode or we do a live stream. And I interact with people both on YouTube and on Facebook quite often. We are streaming to Periscope today as well, which is something new for us. We're trying it out. I'm upping my game in social media. I have a Twitter account. It's at Cleveland _IM, all one word. And you can find me on Instagram now. I haven't really posted anything on Instagram yet, but it is the same, Cleveland _IM, and you can catch me on Instagram. We're going to start playing with that and upping our social game in the new year. But for now, listen, you guys, if you haven't got your tickets yet, get your tickets, because I'm going to go see Star Wars on Saturday with my wife. We're going to go to the early show on Saturday morning, and that is it. You guys have yourselves a great weekend. Till next time, keep printing.